you've either said the words or heard the words, don't judge me, or don't judge lest you be judged. And when we talk about judging, we're usually looking at the aspect of our lives where we're trying to decide who we should associate with, who we should spend our time with. And the Bible has some stuff to say about that.
Yeah, so we're going to hit 1 Corinthians chapter 5, and we're going to start in verse 9, and it says, I wrote to you in my letter not to associate with sexually immoral people, not at all meaning with the sexual immoral of this world, or the greedy and swindlers or idolaters, since then you would need to go out of the world.
So it's saying don't hang out with sinners, but then it's also saying that if you would try to avoid people that sin, you'd have to leave the world, because the whole world is full of people that sin.
Right.
So who are we not supposed to hang out with?
Well, verse 11 says, But now I am writing to you not to associate with anyone who bears the name of brother, if he is guilty of sexual immorality or greed, or is an idolater, reveler, drunkard, or a swindler, not to even eat with such a one.
Okay, so if it's someone that is a brother, is a Christian, someone that calls themselves a Christian, then if they are living in this unrepentant sin,
right,
we're not supposed to hang out with them.
Right.
And how do we decide whether that's the case or not?
In a word, judge.
Right.
We're to judge the brother. So listen to this. In verse 12, it says, For what have I to do with judging outsiders, meaning people outside the church? Is it not those inside the church whom you are to judge? God judges those outside.
Okay, so we are to judge the people inside the church,
right,
and not judge people outside the church.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on to the verse that everybody's familiar with, Matthew 7, where it talks about judge not lest you be judged.
Right. So verse 1 says the famous one of judge not lest you be judged. Verse 2 says, For the same judgment that you judge with, you also be judged. Verse 3 and 4 says, Why do you see the speck in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to a brother, Let me take the speck out of your eye, when there is a log in your own eye? And see, that's where most people stop. They take the word judge, and this is the first place that they jump to, is these verses. But if you go on and read the last verse in this statement, it says, You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. What it's saying is, you're a hypocrite if you're not dealing with the log in your own eye. If you don't see the sin in your own life, and you're just coming at somebody to take care of the speck, your heart is not in the right place. And that's what this is talking about. It's talking about causing attention for the speck in their eye and hiding the log in your eye.
Okay, so we're supposed to be constantly checking ourselves to make sure that we don't have major problems. Not just that, we don't have problems at all, but try to eliminate as many issues as possible so that we can remove the speck in the brother's eye. Right. Because even if we have issues, that doesn't mean that someone else's issue is fine.
Right.
Like, we still need to help them. And that's the idea behind judging. Judging has such a bad connotation because so many people judge improperly. The point of judging is to come with the spirit of helpfulness, to try to help the person get better.
Right.
You're holding this standard up to a person and then seeing where that person could be better, and you're trying to help them. If that's not the way you're judging, then your heart's in the wrong place, and you need to look at what you're doing.
Right, because that's when Jesus is calling you a hypocrite.
Right.
Is when your heart is in the wrong place. So this all comes back to a matter of the heart. It all comes back to the heart issue, and that's where we can tell when we're allowed to judge and when we're not allowed to judge. Is we're not talking about action. We're not talking about someone's life. We're talking about their heart, because their actions, what's the point of correcting their actions?
Right.
If the actions are no good.
Mm-hmm. The Bible even compares our good works, the good things that we do, to dirty rags worthy of just being burned and thrown away.
Right.
So if God looks at us doing the right thing as trash, then what does he want from us? He wants from us a heart that is bent towards him, a heart that loves him.
Yeah.
And so there's really no point in judging a person that is not a Christian, because then you're just holding up a bunch of standards to a person whose heart isn't where God would want their heart to be.
Exactly.
It's like whitewashing the outside of a tomb. The outside might look nice, they might be doing a bunch of good things, but the inside isn't where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, because it's not about the rules. It's about that relationship.
Right.
And so, once again, that standard and that thing of holding it up against somebody, even if they could live up to that, even if they could come to a place where they never sinned again, they never did anything that would grieve God's heart, it still would not be enough, because their heart is not handed over to God. And so when it comes into the level of judging that we're talking about, you have to be careful. And so we're not judging them based on their actions. The only place where we are called to judge somebody outside the church is if they...
So it seems like there's two types of
Right.
people we should categorize people into.
Right.
Either people we can judge or should judge, which is the brother, the Christian, the person inside the church that is living with unrepentant sin that they know is wrong and just don't care. They're going to keep doing it. Now, that doesn't mean pull down someone who is struggling. Like, people, everyone sins. Christians, non-Christians, everybody sins. And that's something that we know.
Yeah.
If it's a struggle, it's in their heart they hate the sin and they're fighting against it.
Right.
If it's an accepted, unrepentant sin, that's where we're supposed to judge them, try to help them.
Right.
And if they're not going to take it, just don't associate with them. And then there's the other group of people, which are the people outside the church, the unsaved people.
Right.
We're not to judge them.
Right.
And now, as a slight side note, that doesn't mean just live and let live in all things. Where we should step in is where we need to protect the innocent. Mm-hmm. So we're talking, murder, theft, rape, any type of
down.
Right, tearing somebody down. We're supposed to step in and protect someone who's being hurt by another person sinning.
Right.
So while that is judging, it's not so much to bring down the person doing the wrong thing as it is to protect the innocent person.
Yeah. And that's not to be confused with someone who is witnessing.
Right.
If someone is trying to get you to a place where you will accept Christ, please don't take that as them judging you. They're not, or at least if it's coming from the right place, they shouldn't be coming at you and basing it upon actions. They shouldn't be coming at you and basing it on this decision or that decision. It should solely be...
Right. They shouldn't be saying, you are a terrible, horrible, awful person.
Right.
You need to stop doing what you're doing. That's not the point of being a Christian, a bunch of rules and actions and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so if it is coming from a place of there is a better way to live, because there is, and in Scripture, all of that is a way to live. If your heart becomes turned towards Christ and you start to get Scripture in you, it tells you the way to live your life and it guides you and it gets you to this place where you're not shooting in the dark anymore.
Right.
And so that is not judgment. That is legitimately someone trying to
help. They come in with that helpful spirit.
Exactly. And if it comes from a place of, I hate you and you need to change or you're going to whatever,
right.
If that's where it's coming from, then it is in the wrong place and it is in the wrong heart. But understand where they're coming from. They are trying to come from a place of helpfulness.
All right. So just remember, if you're going to judge, don't do it to hurt somebody or to bring somebody down. Right. Do it only to help somebody, and they'll know. Like, you might get a little bit of backlash at first,
right?
But it will sit differently than someone else that's attacking them for that. Like, no one's going to respond and say, "Oh, I must be wrong," when they're being attacked.
Yeah.
It's only when someone is coming to them to try to help,
right,
that someone might have a chance of responding.
Yeah. So we hope that this cleared some things up. We wanted to talk about judging, and so that's where we come from. So we like you guys. We want you to subscribe and to start the conversation down inside of the comments. We want to be talking with you guys. And if you get a chance, come check out our class here at Cornerstone on Wednesday nights, 7 o'clock. We're at 6550 Lapalco Blvd. Come check us out. We like to talk and discuss things, and it's going to look a lot like this video.